Hey, this is Todd. Welcome to the Lyceum Weekly Update number 16. This is for the week of March 31st, 2014. There is a ton of shit that went on this week and news from last week, so getting straight into it, starting with launches on Wednesday the 2nd, there is a folk indie pop album launch that's happening at the Vanguard for $12 with the Maxine Quarter Band. Then on Thursday, there's an alternative folk rock single launch at the King's Cross Hotel in King's Cross, also known as FBI Social, for $10 with the Bradley Cork that didn't sound right, I completely messed up his name, with Bradley Cork and the Folklore Mantra. Then there is a singer-songwriter album launch happening at Lizottes in DY for $16 with Daniel Dawes. And lastly on Thursday, an alternative electronica album launch is happening at the Valve Bar in Sydney for $10 with the Loop Orchestra. Not a bunch of samples all running around. Then Friday the 4th, there is a punk rock metal single launch happening at the Baldface Stag in Leichhardt for $15 with Kill TV. And a punk rock album launch that's at Blackwire Records in Annandale with Ted Danson with Wolves. And last for Friday, there is a punk rock and roll album launch at the Gladstone Feeling in Chippendale with Black Heart Breakers. Then Saturday the 5th, starting with a punk EP launch at the Exchange Hotel Darlinghurst, part of the Vegas Room, not Spectrum Bar, the Vegas Room part with Wasted Years, and that's $10 with Thesis. And a pop rock EP launch at Good God Small Club in Chinatown, Sydney for $10 with Bellevue. And another pop rock EP launch is happening at Soundworks Studios in Marrickville. That's $15 with Band in Texas. And a free pop rock album launch. There are nothing but pop rock bands today. It's like a yin and yang for genre, pop and rock. That album launch is happening at the Tattersalls Hotel in Penrith with Empty Fish Tank. And lastly for Saturday, a jazz album launch at Venue 505 in Surrey Hills for $21 with Julian Wilson Trio. Then on Sunday, there is an all-ages punk, rock and metal EP launch that's happening at the Masonic Hall in Blacktown for $12 with Thesis. Yes, that's right, the one band had two different EP launches in the same week. It's not a typo. I do my shit properly. Now on to a few special gigs. Starting on Saturday the 5th, there's going to be a micro-festival called Spin the Bottle. Has a bunch of rock, pop, singer-songwriter kind of acts. That's happening at the Exchange Hotel in Darlinghurst, part of Spectrum Bar. And there's also an alternative rock blues venue launch. Kind of venue launch, not really a venue launch. It's the Lyceum Hotel in Lyceum, which they got taken over by new sort of bookers a little while ago, and they're just deciding to celebrate now. So it's like a post-launch. It's celebrating that they launched ages ago. And that is $15. Then on Sunday, there's going to be another sort of micro-festival called the Boneyard Festival. It's free, it's from 2 PM, it's going to have a whole heap of rock bands, organised by the band Bones, and that's at Frankie's Pizza by the Slice in Sydney. And the last special gig on Sunday, there's going to be an alternative rock and roll market, which happens every so often. It's happening at the Manning Bar in Chippendale, part of the University of Sydney. It's $5 to get in. They have stalls, markets, you sort of buy shirts, CDs. There are also going to be a bunch of rock bands playing, and rock and roll, singer-songwriters, all that kind of stuff. Now, going on to news. To start off with news from the Newtown Social Club, which used to be called the Sando until they took it over. They've announced their first lineup of bands. The band room is finally done. They cut through all the red tape, got everything finished, and those bands will be starting about May, with pretty much like a launch every single week, some kind of launch. The acts that have been primarily booked in now have been the Perch Creek Family Jug Band, Citizen K, and Napalm from Hiatus Coyote. There have been a bunch of backlash to their announcement for bands. Why would people give backlash to a launch of bands? Like, seriously. But I got all my ranting juices out on that earlier, so if you want to watch that rant of me going off at people being fucking stupid about the Newtown Social Club, then click this little thing here. Click this bad boy. And you can hear all my hate that burns my soul. Continuing in the news, the Live Music Task Force and their action plan. Said that the rest of the action plan was going to be brought to council to bring in, and that date is now here. It is today. So today is going to go up to the City of Sydney Council. They will vote on it. It will most likely get through, since they're the ones who organise the Live Music Task Force. So the rest of the action plan will most likely go through includes cutting a whole heap of red tape for the setup of live music venues, getting rid of noise complaints that immediately lead to fines, and advocating for musicians and performers to be allowed into affordable housing schemes. And the last bit of news that came out, there was an Australian musician from Melbourne, this electronica producer named Nick Thayer. A post that he made was getting circulated around the internet heaps, where he built up the costs of how much it costs to make and release his EP and then tour through the US. And it was really not a pretty sight. There's a full breakdown of costs linked in the Lyceum article, which leads to his blog post, so check out that if you want the full breakdown of how everything costs. Some people point out how some things were a bit too expensive that he could have cut costs on, but regardless, let's live and learn. So with the EP rounding out all the money that he made on it, which was purchases of the entire EP or just individual tracks on their own, it totaled $3,673.50 of revenue. And then after the costs are broken down, who we had to pay for mastering, artwork, distribution, all that kind of stuff, it ended up costing him money to make the EP. So all of that money went into paying for it to be made. And then with the US tour, he used a sample size of 3 weeks with 9 shows across those 3 weeks. He would make a total of $11,250. And then after taking into account people who had to pay for the gig to be put on, organisers, promoters, and also taking into account food and just general living, it ended up in a profit of $800, which is a far cry from over $11,000. So some of the things I want to point out with this, it's difficult to know whether there would be a difference since he's an electronica artist. How would that compare with, say, a rock band or a folk band or a jazz band? Same with electronica artists, having the individual tracks able to be downloaded. Does that make a difference? Like, would someone who's into a rock band purchase an entire album, or if given the chance, would they buy single tracks? Another thing they doesn't say, which he might not have even had, is at the concerts, nothing about merch, which traditionally you kind of see that a lot of artists make tons of money out of their merch. If you buy shirts, if you buy more of the EP or the album, if you buy other little things, caps, beanies, wristbands, like coasters, just whatever fuck, just merch everything. Put your name on it. He may have had none because that was not in his breakdown of money or any of the revenue costs that he made up. So it'd be interesting that if he didn't have any merch, what he could have made if that was what he had. Like, where would that cost go? How much would he get of that? So while there's a few sort of variables to look at, it's a pretty good breakdown of the cost and what it goes into, and it kind of brings back the idea that a lot of artists should control more of their music. Nick Thayer said that he was going to do the mastering from now on for his own tracks because that cost way, way too much money. And really, if you sit down at the software, you work on it, you really can make something that sounds professional just by learning what you're doing. And it will cost a hell of a lot cheaper. Nick Thayer wanted to point out that he didn't make the blog post as crying about not being able to get a lot of money. He just more wanted to point out how it can work for a band that's at the point where they want to start touring overseas, and they can start touring overseas, but how that cost can break down. There were 2 points that he brought up that he said were the main things that he wanted to get across, and they are 2 very important points. One was that it's always better to buy the entire album or the entire EP. When you buy individual tracks, that's always way less money that's going towards the artist. And really, why would you buy the individual tracks? You have an entire album that they've created. And most of the time, what bands pick as their single isn't the best thing you could find on the album. There are usually better songs on the album than whatever gets picked as a single. Best example of that, Nirvana. And the second point, if you come across an artist that you enjoy, you share it. We have the technology, we have the ability, the incredible ability to tell everybody what we are doing and what we enjoy and what we want. And people use that to show pictures of bread over their cat's face, and that's cool. But, you can also click a button and share someone that you think sounds cool. Because a lot of times word of mouth, regardless of the changes in technology, word of mouth is still really, really strong. A really good way to get a lot of stuff out. So if you're sharing something on social media, you decide to put away the status of what you had for breakfast or what you are currently doing on the toilet and decide to use that chance to share an artist that you think sounds really fucking cool and other people should be into, then that can be a major improvement and can really help the artist who's trying to get out there, trying to get noticed. That is basically everything that's happening. Wait, it isn't everything that's happening this week. Band of the week. Oh shit, where's the front page? Band of the week. No. Where's the... No. Where's the... God damn it, I threw it over there. No, that's not it either. Where's the band of the week? I've lost the band of the week. Stay calm. It's okay. We'll get through this. Where the fuck did it go? Do I have a black hole in my room? Ah, fuck it. I remember who it is. This week's band of the week is Ben Iota. He's a hip-hop rap artist. The thing that I like about him is there seems to be a pretty good amount of attention paid to the music behind the lyrics, and as well as attention paid to the lyrics. There's a lot of times that it's just, dum, 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 and then rap. But he actually has very, very nice orchestration, very nice compositioning and the music behind it, so it's pretty cool to listen to. He's also quite political in what he says, so if you're into the whole political side of music, he's a pretty good guy to check out, and he sounds pretty cool as well. If you want to check out some of his stuff, then wait till the end of the video and I'll play a little track of it. He's also having a gig on Thursday at the Foresters in Surrey Hills. Alright, now that is all that I had to say. One thing I want to put out to you, at the moment, the gig guide also includes cover gigs, so, you know, anyone doing covers of bands, or just general covers of piano, singer-songwriter, entertainers who will take requests. Should I take it out? Because is there really any point leaving in cover bands or cover artists that kind of redundant to wanting to see live original music? Is it just cluttering up the gig guide? Way better to take it out. Let me know if you have any thoughts on the news or on the rant, which again, click here to see the rant. If you have any opinions on that, just comment below or contact us on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, all that kind of shit. Like and subscribe to the video if you want to keep checking out more, or just follow us on social media because we post all this stuff there anyway. The gig guide is up online, so go to www.thelyceum.com.au and check that out and see all the stuff that's happening this week, because there's a heap of it. I will see you next Monday with another bunch of news and a whole heap of launches that will be coming up, and until then, be good.
Yeah, the winds revealed, I'm the knowledge digging in the field. Swallow the bitter pills, zeitgeist, it isn't real. Freedom infinite, space and time traverse with simple choice. Go flow like water is the philosophy is in the voice. Done the deal with free thinkers, lost my religion and put that tradie stream to the back. It wasn't mine, too busy thinking, linking colonialism with what we have before us. Identify with minorities and the alienation I was enjoying. Guts boring, virgin indoctrination, like not celebrating Jan 26 because you recognize the capabilities.